G'day guys, it's Jake here. Today I wanted to give you a run through of Veeam Backup and Replication. So you can get it for free up to 10 endpoints, backup endpoints, with the Community Edition. It doesn't come with any support though, but you can use it for free. If you need support or if you need more than 10 workloads, then pay for it. But otherwise, you just go to actually get it. You go to here, click the download button, and you'll have to log in and it'll take you to this screen and then you can download it. I've already downloaded Veeam Backup and Replication, so I'm just going to mount the ISO or open the ISO, and what we're going to do is start the install. So basically to start the install, you just run the setup file and then click install Veeam Backup and Replication. So first you'll need to accept the Veeam license agreement and also the third-party license agreements. So you just tick them, and if you want to view them, you can view them by clicking the button, and it will give you a bunch of stuff that you can read. Anyway, click next. If you have a license file, this is where you can upload it. We're just going to be using the Community Edition, so we don't add a license file. Click next, and then it does the prerequisite checks. So as you can see here, I'm missing 3 prerequisites and I will install them, which the good thing about the Veeam Backup and Replication setup is that it will install the prerequisites for you. You don't have to go out and find anything, it just enables the missing features. So now we go next. And if you want, you can change the settings here by ticking that button, but we're just going to leave it as the default and hit install. So now it'll go through and start installing it. It will install SQL and then it will install the Veeam Backup and Replication server. So once the installation's finished, it comes up with this message and says installation succeeded. So if we hit finish and then we are back at the install window, we can close that. And in here, we can actually open up now the Veeam Backup and Replication console. So it's going to come here and just go, yep, what do you want to connect with? And I want to connect with my Windows authentication. So here we go. Once you open it up, you have this thing here saying, welcome and thanks for using Veeam Backup and Replication Community Edition. You can see a quick tutorial, you can go to the online documentation, and you can also compare all of your editions. If you do want to buy it, you can find out how to buy it, and you can see the different things that you can get with the paid versions, where we just have the non-paid versions. So on the left here, you've got your different things that you can go into. So you can go in and see your physical infrastructure, your virtual infrastructure, any file shares that you have here, which we currently have none because we haven't configured anything. Down here, you can see your normal inventory, which is the clients that you're backing up, your backup infrastructure, which is your storage and backup controllers. So you can see here, this here is my current backup server, which is my Win10 VM on test.local, which is the computer that I'm on here. So the only computer that's in here at the moment is this server, which is actually Windows 10, but you know, the backup server. You can also see here if you've got any backup proxies or repositories. So by default, during the install process, it created this default backup repository, which is just on my C drive. So let's go through and add a backup job. So basically, if you go into your physical infrastructure in here, and we go to backup job, and you can select virtual machine. So what happens there is you actually link Veeam Backup and Replication to a Hyper Visor, which I haven't currently got one, but you need to register it. So if you try to do that, you haven't registered it, it's going to come up with here and say, do you want to register your virtualization infrastructure to enable hypervisor level protection? I haven't got any virtualization infrastructure here that I can add, so I can't do that. So what I'm going to do is actually add a Windows computer, and it's going to be a server, And you've got two different options here. So you can have it managed by the backup server. So what that means is Veeam Backup and Replication is going to control the backups out of this interface. If you do managed by backup agent, that means you install the Veeam Backup agent directly onto a computer, which I've got another video on how to do that, which I'll leave linked below. But basically you install it and then you point that computer to this backup server as the location to store the backups. But we're going to do it managed by the backup server. So if we hit next, and we're just going to call it test job. And we're going to add some computers here. So if we go individual computer, I'm going to go another server that's on my domain. It's called, and here you specify the credentials for the server that you're backing up. So we haven't currently got any here, so we're going to go add, and it's administrator. So if I add that, we can add in more than one computer into this backup job too. So if I go, and if you've got the same credentials, you can pick them. If you have different credentials, you just add in more credentials. And I might also then, and now if we hit next, at this point you can select what type of backup you want to do. So you can either do the whole computer, a volume level backup, so that means the drives, or you can do a file level backup. Typically you'll want to do the entire computer because then you can just restore the entire computer as well. So I'm going to select entire computer. But yeah, if you do want to use a different type, you can. There are different use cases for that. And then you select your repository that you want the backups to be stored in. So by default, we've got our default backup repository, which we've seen before, which is located locally on here. You can add more backup repositories, like say you've got a NAS or some other storage area that you want to store your backups on. You can do that. You can have multiple. You can back up to multiple as well. And then you set your ascension policy and then go next. First, what you can also do is go into your advanced settings and add in more details here. So you can create full backups periodically. You can also do backup health checks. You can do full backup file maintenance. So that's removing deleted items, defragging and compacting the backup files. You can also increase your compression level, which I'm going to do. And you can also say what type of storage you're doing. The other thing you can do is enable backup file encryption. So what that means is your backups, when you back them up, they will be encrypted. So you just basically add in the password that you want. So I'm going to add in a password. So there we go. So what that's going to do is if somebody does get a hold of your backup media, they're not going to be able to access it. So your backups are done. They're stored on your backup storage location. So down here in your repository, and they're encrypted there and password protected. So if somebody does get into there, they still need that password to decrypt the backup. They can't just look and see your backed up files. So at this point, we're going to hit OK. And there's also if you want to send email notifications and also if you want to run scripts before the job or after the job. So now we go next. And at this point, you can enable application aware processing, which I recommend to have ticked. And you can add in the application. So if they've got SQL Server, Exchange Server, it's aware of those applications and backs them up properly in a way that you can restore from them. You can also do guest file indexing, so that makes it easier to search for the files inside of your backups. We're not going to enable that for this. And then you can do the schedule as well. So we're going to run it automatically and schedule it to go every day at 10 PM. You can also do monthly ones, and you can change only on weekdays or only on certain days that you specify. So we're going to go OK on every day at 10 PM and that it's going to run automatically. And we're going to tick run the job when I finish. So Now we can see this job is running, and if you open it up, you can see what's going on with them. So you can see that the status is pending. Here we go. So DC1 failed because the system reboot is required. So that must have updates on it, which I can actually open up this virtual machine and we can see. So if I open up this virtual machine, I reckon if I went like this, yep, so it's got pending updates. So it can't actually install the Veeam agent until these updates are done. So I'm going to update and restart that server. And I'll just close out of that. So on here we can see what status it is. So first it's found file server 01, and then it's installed the Veeam agent, checking for any package locks, and then it'll create a temporary folder. And you can see here on this one, it's doing all that stuff. So you can see it's actually installing the agent on there. So this automatically installs the Veeam agent, which is handy. You don't have to actually go to the virtual machine. It just runs its thing, installs the Veeam agent, and then it'll kick off a backup. So if we take a look at our virtual machine at the moment, if I open file server, and if I just open the task manager, what we should see, because we've seen that Veeam was installed, we should see some Veeam stuff here. So now we can see Veeam dep app. So the Veeam installer service, so it's still currently doing its thing. Oh, here we go. Failed to connect. So access denied. So let's see, installation failed. Let's try and install the backup agent manually like this. So it is handy. The things that it says, the errors are pretty straightforward. So if we do it on there, we'll also give, close that. We'll also try and install the backup agent on DC1. Now the updates hopefully are finished. So we can see here Windows installer is running. So we'll assume that the Veeam agent is installing on there. We can see down here, current status. So now we can see here on DC1 and file server 01, it's installed. We'll try and just do it on file server 02 as well. So sometimes it doesn't automatically install, but usually it does. Anyway, now we've got it installed. So if we go back to our jobs, so if we go back home and we'll go to our test job and we can start it again. So down here we can see that the job is starting, and we can open it up and view the details, and we can watch the backup start. So here we go. Hopefully with the compression, because if you can add this up, it's probably more storage than I've got, but with compression it should compress down the backup file size. So then once it's finished, you can see here, it says success, success, success. And we can see that our backup was finished. We can look at each of the things here on each of the servers, and you can see what was backed up. It's backed up the C drive, file server 1, backed up the C drive, truncated transaction logs and SQL, and then did a backup. So yeah, that's basically it. That's how to create a backup in Veeam. So now what you can do too is we can actually So we can look inside of our inventory and see different things here. We can generate recovery media if you want to. So you can generate the different recovery media for the different servers or virtual servers or whatever you're backing up. So you can click disk and see your jobs, see your servers, and we can, if you had the Hyper Visor registered, you can do an instant VM recovery. Won't work for us because we don't have our Hyper Visor registered, but if you did, you can. We can also restore the guest files. So like from file server 01, we can restore the files. Go next. And then it's going to start doing a restore of the files. So here we go. Now we can view the files, find what we want to restore. So let's say I want to restore this, or you might want to open it in the File Explorer. We can open it by doing this. Access denied, that's handy. Try a different folder. Because of the version of Windows, that folder doesn't actually exist. It's just something silly that shows. So now we can go in and we can actually view the files in here. So say we wanted to get that, we can then copy it out, put it on my actual computer, and there we go. So now I've just restored some files, or you can restore it directly to the server if you wish to. So let's exit out of that. So that's basically it. We can stop this recovery now by doing that. So yeah, that's basically a quick introduction into Veeam Backup and Replication. So anyway guys, don't forget, like and subscribe to see more. Would really help if you do like the video, get more people to see it and whatnot. Anyway guys, I'll see you next time.